Every year, the Swedish school system holds a competition known as Future City. The goal of this competition is to allow educators around the country to submit ideas that can be implemented into the school's curriculum. In 2013, the idea was proposed to try adding a video game into the school's curriculum. The idea was approved, and Minecraft was introduced into the school's educational programs. For those of you who don't know what Minecraft is, it can be explained as a video game that's a digital adaptation of Legos. The game has a host of other modes, but it mainly focuses around creative building. And as it turns out, video games can in fact be good for our brains and can improve small aspects of our lives. Microsoft is the tech company that runs Minecraft's development. They created a special edition of the game for education when they acquired the rights to the property in 2014. And Minecraft's educational version, known as Minecraft EDU, has since spread to other schooling systems and has extended its use to other subjects in school like math, civil engineering. The school in Sweden used it to teach coding, building, and history to its 13-year-old students. But for those of you who are skeptical about its practicality in education, BBC News actually did a cover story in 2017 where younger students were tasked with using the game to build a replication of an Indus Valley Bronze Age settlement. The same school uses Minecraft to show fun and visual representations of other historical structures and locations. If you pay attention to the cover stories by news outlets, then you have probably seen some kind of story revolving around why they think video games are bad for our health. Some people say that it's bad for your eyesight, and I'm sure you've heard the saying that if you play video games for too long, your brains will turn to mush. I'm going to show you some studies by Daphne Bavelier, who did research with a team on how video games have a positive effect on our mind. Now, in order to break down the study, we need to see which kind of video game genres they used for testing. And I should also clarify that the people playing the games only did so for about 10 to 50 hours over the course of 2 weeks. Now, the people were split into three categories. There were those who played no video games at all, the people who played more relaxed genres, and then there were the people who played the more demanding titles, like first-person shooters, action-adventure titles, and shooter games. The team performed tests on the volunteers to find out how it improved their abilities. They found that video games had a strong correlation to our eyesight, our ability to track, our attention span, and our ability to focus. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard that screen time makes your eyesight worse, or it's bad for you in general, but this couldn't be further from the truth. And what I mean by that is that volunteers who didn't play the games performed far worse than those who did. The ability to catch smaller details was observed to be far better than those of the control. In practicality, this means that our ability to see things while you drive in harsher environments like rain or fog would be better if you were playing games. This doesn't mean that you should stare at screens for all day, because anything in large amounts is not good. The study also found that the gamers were much better at tracking objects. This is also related to our focus, because tracking targets in action games is a constant. But in real world terms, it could mean being able to follow where a motorcycle is driving, where pedestrians are going, and road hazards like potholes and debris. And I think it's important for us to realize that gaming does have benefits, because I feel like a lot of the general public and media tend to demonize or downplay its role in our society. Gaming can and has created social platforms for millions of people around the world. We can see this in the hundreds of expos and conventions that are held yearly, such as PAX and E3. Other small companies host their own small conventions that draw in hundreds of thousands of people. I think there's also an important lesson to be learned, because a lot of the negative feedback about video games don't even come from the games themselves, but rather from the people who play them. Because if we find on the news someone has committed a crime in the real world and play video games at the same time, then it tends to draw a lot of negative attention. The consequence there is that people associate crime or bad behavior with video games, even if it's not a valid logical argument. Now, one more final bit of information that I would like to leave you with is from Bavelier's research, and it's about the longer-lasting effects of the game. You see, the research team actually found, when they brought back the original volunteers, months, even years later, that they were able to still retain their abilities. They found that the people who played the games still retained the benefits, even over longer periods of time. And this essentially means that games are not learned as a one-time skill, that the benefits of it can stick with you for a long time and give you an edge in your everyday life.